take you back a little bit. This year is the 20th anniversary of Jerry Maguire.
What you gonna do, Jerry? Show me the money! Congratulations, you're still my agent.
One of the greatest sports movies ever made, Jerry Maguire redefined the sports romantic comedy. With passion, determination, and heart, Cameron Crowe gave us a film we'd never forget. Starring Tom Cruise, Cuba Gooding Jr., and Renée Zellweger, it became an instant Hollywood classic. Gooding Jr. won an Oscar, and Zellweger's career skyrocketed overnight. But what really happened behind the cameras might surprise you. From nicked auditions to drama over that iconic line, there's more than meets the eye. Stay tuned, because these shocking behind-the-scenes facts will blow your mind.
I'm happy to entertain you.
Tom Cruise almost missed out on being Jerry Maguire.
A couple years and I got to work on it, for a year with him before we started filming.
One of the iconic characters in the movie might have ended up being played by someone other than Tom Cruise. For Tom Cruise, the character of Tobey Maguire gave his fans a new perspective regarding his role as an actor. As Maguire, he once again proved why he was one of the best actors Hollywood had ever witnessed. From his emotional breakdowns, his character reveals a man who refuses to give up and fights to ensure and prove that good always prevails, and rough times don't last forever. But it might shock you that, before the movie was cast, Tom Cruise was not the original actor Cameron Crowe had in mind. The person Crowe originally had in mind was Tom Hanks, but at that time, the movie began production, and Hanks was caught up in producing his own film. Additionally, the role of a sports agent did not sit well with Tom Hanks. This left Crowe with Tom Cruise, who did a stellar job in the film. Cruise even ended up with a Grammy nomination for Best Actor for his role in the movie. His passionate acting and heart-wrenching performance as a man who had lost everything and fought to save what he had left was genuinely excellent. His emotional outbursts and impassioned speeches were truly something to watch. Tom Cruise brought it to the big screen like nobody else could, and made us feel all kinds of feelings with his inner. It took 4 years to get the script done for Crowe. Writing the script for Jerry Maguire was something Cameron Crowe took his time doing, and take his time, he did. By the time he was done, 4 years had already passed. In fact, writing the script took so long that the person he had picked as the main lead got too old for the script. For Crowe, it was not just a script, but a shot at redemption. His previous movie, Singles, released in 1992, did not do as well as he had hoped. Jerry Maguire was his shot at getting it right, and he refused to risk it through. He spent 4 years collecting data on the football world and the agent's role in a footballer's success. He took his time, making all the necessary changes and corrections. He knew he had to take his time to get the perfect script. He made sure that fans could connect on a deeper level to the characters in the script, far more than he felt they could in his previous film, and it paid off. With Jerry Maguire, fans laughed, cried, and swooned at various scenes throughout the film, making it a classic favorite over the years. The only downside was that it took so long that Tom Hanks, Crowe's first choice for the script, became too old for the role. By the time he was done, the main character in the script was a man in his 40s, and Tom Hanks was in his 40s, had bagged 2 Oscars, and was in the middle of directing his own movie. This led to a change of plans and his choice for the main lead, but it all turned out fine. Jerry Maguire was based on a real-life agent.
Shut up. Play the game. Play it from your heart. And you know what? I will show you.
Much of the inspiration for Jerry as a sports agent came from Lee Steinberg, a real-life agent who served as a consultant on the film. When Crowe saw a picture in a newspaper of a football star and his agent, this became the bedrock of his movie. However, he had no prior experience or connections to any sports agency that would get him inside information on how it all worked. So he decided to get help. He teamed up with Lee Steinberg, and Steinberg showed him the ropes of being a sports agent and gave him a feel of what it was like to be a sports agent. He witnessed the troubles and successes that came with the job and got a feel of what it was like to be a player from his interactions with Steinberg's clients. It took him years, but he did not waver. He was determined to ensure that Jerry Maguire became one of his best scripts. He was given a small role to play for his role in providing valuable information and expertise for the script and the production of the movie. You can see him in the movie as the man who introduces Jerry to Troy Aikman, one of Steinberg's real-life clients. Crowe wanted him to have a bigger role in the movie, playing Jerry's brother, who gives an unflattering toast at Jerry's bachelor party, but he didn't want to come off as a villain and wasn't interested in acting. To this day, he may be the only actor who ever talked his way out of a scene with Tom Cruise. Crowe also loosely based Rod Tidwell on Tim McDonald, a San Francisco Fourth Niner who once walked the media floor with Steinberg, like Jerry and Rod did in the movie. Steinberg's role in the film is monumental and helped Crowe achieve his dream of writing a script that fans could connect to on a personal note. His depth of knowledge in the life of a sports agent and his football experience proved reliable and gave Crowe exactly what he needed to ensure he wrote one of the best scripts ever. Crowe has also credited McDonald with coining the phrase, "Show me the money." Kelly Preston trained to punch Tom Cruise. One of the most astonishing scenes in the movie is when Kelly Preston, who plays the role of Maguire's ex-girlfriend, gets pretty upset and punches him in the scene where Maguire breaks up with her. It was shocking and disturbing to see how she executed a clean punch, and even though it was just for the scenes, the punch had to have hurt. When asked about that scene, she confirmed that she had taken lessons from a professional boxer. To prepare for the scene where she has to clock Cruise, Kelly Preston trained with celebrated boxer Ray "Boom Boom" Mancini. While many people were offended by the fact that she punched Tom Cruise in the face, others found it funny and only added a little drama to the movie. Crowe went all out for this movie to ensure everything was done perfectly. Crowe had high hopes for the Quan. In the movie, one highlight phrase was the concept of the Quan. In the scene where the idea of the Quan shows up, Tidwell had just finished a game and was conversing with Jerry Maguire. Tidwell tells Maguire that he deserves more than money, that he deserves more. "It's not just the coin," he says, "it's the Quan." Intrigued by this concept of Quan, Jerry Maguire asked what the word means. Tidwell tells him it means love, respect, community, and the dollars. The package, the Quan. Jerry asks how he got the word Quan. Rod tells him, "I got there from coin, dude. Coin, coin, Quan." For Crowe, he thought the concept of the Quan would become a popular word. It was catchy, new, and summarized a lot of ideas into a word. However, he was beyond surprised when other phrases like, "Show me the money," "You complete me," and "You had me at hello" ended up as highlight phrases of the movie. Not what he had expected, but that is just how life is. Sometimes the one you think is the one ends up on the sidelines, while the ones you did not put much thought into end up taking the spotlight. While the concept of the Quan was fascinating for fans, it did not connect to them as much as the other phrases did. While it was a fantastic concept, the different phrases were more emotional and said in a moment of vulnerability, making it more endearing to fans. Renée Zellweger did not understand her iconic line.
"You had me at hello."
Arguably one of the most iconic scenes in the film, the scene where Jerry Maguire goes back home to convince Dorothy that he is the man for her, is one of the most romantic scenes in Jerry Maguire. In that scene, Jerry tries to convince Dorothy not to leave him and drops his iconic line, "You complete me." In that scene, she also drops an iconic line where she responds to Jerry after his heartfelt speech with, "You had me at hello." In this scene, fans could feel the raw emotion of two people who were not perfect, but loved each other anyway. It was not about results, but the effort to keep the relationship afloat. However, it would shock you that Renée Zellweger was a bit lost in the phrase. She actually thought it was a typo and did not understand it. Because of that, they had to do several retakes of the scene because she kept saying it wrong. For her, it did not sound right when she said it out loud, and she kept wondering if the phrase was a mistake they had made while typing. Too afraid to voice her complaints, she pushed forward with the words. After a few unsuccessful attempts, she finally got it right, and we got one of the most iconic scenes ever with some of the most iconic phrases in Hollywood. Crowe almost scrapped out Tom Cruise's iconic line.
"You complete me."
While Zellweger struggled with saying her iconic line, Tom Cruise faced the challenge of losing his. In an interview, he revealed that at some point Crowe intended to scrap out Maguire's iconic line, "You complete me." For Crowe, it did not seem like something Maguire would want to say, and the phrase felt too cheesy, but Tom Cruise did not wish to have it scrapped and convinced Crowe to let him try it. He was free to scrap if it still did not sound right. After a long day of filming, Tom Cruise finally tried the line. When he finished his speech, everyone in the studio was on the verge of tears. Even Crowe got emotional. It is unbelievable how Tom infused so much passion and vulnerability into that phrase. For a moment, even Zellweger was left speechless and in tears before she could respond. A shot from Tom Cruise was what it took to keep that iconic line from getting scraped off, which is a relief. If it had been scrapped out, we would have lost one of the best lines in Hollywood. The iconic line, "You complete me," spoken by Tom Cruise's character Jerry Maguire, was voted as one of the top 100 movie quotes by the American Film Institute. Crowe had doubts about asking Tom Cruise to be the main lead. When Crowe was ready to begin production of Jerry Maguire, his choice for the male lead, Tom Hanks, was above the character's age. Tom Hanks also had some issues regarding the script. He was not too fond of the idea of Jerry Maguire getting married to Dorothy too soon in the movie. He preferred the idea of them being lovers rather than husband and wife. Crowe thought about it and decided to keep the concept of marriage. To him, without it, Dorothy was just a girl in the office that Jerry was sleeping with. Those issues and the age factor led Crowe to search for a new actor to fill the vacancy. Someone brought up the idea of Tom Cruise, which made him a bit anxious. Tom Cruise was already a big star, earning an average of about $15 million per movie. He was a big shot, and his roles in most of his films had him in positions of power. To give him a role where he would have to pay a sports agent who had lost it all, was working with a hint of desperation to keep whatever he had left, was not really his style. In fact, it became one of the pitches from the agents of other actors auditioning for the role. They would call and tell Crowe things like, "Be realistic, you'll never get Cruise, and Cruise will never play a loser." At some point, Crowe felt like he had made a fool of himself, asking Cruise to take the role. But then Cruise did the unexpected. He read the script and became fascinated with it and the character. After 2 months of discussions, including Cruise studying videotapes of sports agents and Crowe shaping the movie to be more of a younger man's story, Cruise finally decided to take the iconic role, and it's a decision fans are ever grateful for. Someone else was almost Dorothy Boyd. In the movie, Dorothy is a sweet, beautiful, and kind-hearted single mom who falls in love with Jerry Maguire. She was a secretary at his old agency, but when he spoke out against the corruption in the system, he was kicked to the curb. Only Dorothy agreed to go with him on his pitch for support. The two became closer, and Jerry and Dorothy fell in love. She is also the one who said the iconic "You had me at hello" line. Her role in the movie depicts strength and love as she chooses to stay with the man she loves despite their hardships. Her ability to bring to life deep emotions and wear her heart on her sleeve is one that many found unforgettable and created a path for her to fame. Zellweger almost missed out on the opportunity to play Dorothy, though. She came for the auditions late, and at that time the role of Dorothy Boyd was supposed to go to Friday Night Lights star Connie Britton. Britton said she had auditioned for the part, and Cameron Crowe had fallen in love with her acting. She was excited about doing a movie with Tom Cruise, and had been assured of her place as his female lead. Britton even did a table read with Cruise, and with the response she received, the role was as good as hers. But then Crowe told her that they just needed to screen test one more actress, who happened to be Zellweger. At the end of the day, Zellweger stole the show. She created such a big impression on Crowe that he felt she deserved the role of Dorothy. Britton, on hearing the news, was heartbroken. She had been excited to be cast with Tom Cruise and genuinely fell in love with her character Dorothy. But fate had other plans for her, and Tom Cruise wasn't part of it. Britton also joked that she probably lost the part because she was too tall for Tom Cruise. I don't know if that was true, but in Hollywood, things like that definitely matter. Renée Zellweger nearly missed her audition because she didn't have enough money. Zellweger, then little known, auditioned for Dorothy 3 times over the space of a month. Cruise was there for her final reading, which made all the difference. Crowe videotaped the audition and saw Cruise reacting to Zellweger. In that great way, Spencer Tracy regards Katharine Hepburn, just someone watching this person who, as it happens, would play a big part in his future life. And it was all there in the first moment. After her rise to fame, she confessed that she had auditioned late because she did not have enough money to get to the studio. She had been struggling financially at the time, and her lack of funds had nearly cost her the role of a lifetime. But somehow she made it, got the part, and became famous. Cuba Gooding Jr. stripped naked during his audition.
Word. Tell?
No, I air tried.
No, he was not drunk or high on drugs, but yes, he did strip naked during his audition. When Cuba came in for his audition, it happened to be the locker room scene where Rod Tidwell had just gotten out of the shower, dripping wet, to browbeat his agent over the disappointing details of a contract negotiation. Gooding Jr. asked the director if his character was nacked in this scene, to which Crowe said yes. This left him in a dilemma: act with his clothes on, or get into the character of Rod Tidwell getting out of the shower in a foul mood. Without any hesitation, he decided to take his clothes off. Not even Crowe and Tom Cruise saw that coming. Pretty sure none of them woke up yet this morning, hoping to see a naked man. But it sure did leave an impression and showed just how much Gooding Jr. wanted the part and how far he was willing to go to get it. Stunned and laughing, Crowe and Tom Cruise looked on as Gooding beckoned with his hands, indicating that he was ready to do the scene. "Bring it on," Gooding Jr. said with fearlessness. "Come on, let's read the scene," he shouted joyously. "I'm gonna get this part. I ain't afraid of nothing." While it was shocking and amusing to witness, Crowe knew nobody would put in as much dedication as Gooding Jr., so it was no surprise when he got the role. His high school football background as a quarterback gave him the experience to play Rod, though he also went through a week of training camp to prepare. Not only did he get the role, but he also went on to win the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor.
Aaron don't have the guts to do nothing. It was me.
Jerry Maguire got into some legal problems with Reebok. It was no surprise that Jerry Maguire, a movie about athlete endorsements, featured a lot of product placement. The cinema boasted about 25 retailers' merchandise getting prominent screen time, but the company that really stood out and garnered attention at that time was Reebok, a sports clothing and footwear brand. Reebok spent $1.5 million on placement, including a commercial starring Rod wearing a Reebok jacket. That scene was cut from the film's theatrical release for undisclosed reasons, and what was left was Rod's rant criticizing the shoe company. Having violated its contract terms, Reebok decided to take legal action. They sued the studio for $10 million for breach of contract. The lawsuit was later settled out of court, and Rod's Reebok ad was restored to the film in television broadcasts and on the special edition DVD. Jerry Maguire was not the original title. It's common for movie titles to change as production commences, and Jerry Maguire was no different. Before it was officially named Jerry Maguire, the film was initially titled The Things We Think and Do Not Say. The title gave more focus on Jerry's epiphany after his confrontation with a player's child, following an incident that left his father injured. Jerry thought about their conversation, which led him to write a mission statement, which got him fired and lost everything he had worked so hard for in the blink of an eye. But Crowe decided that the title only gave a glimpse of the first part of the movie and did not really cover the entire experience of the whole film. The title was later changed to Jerry Maguire to focus on Jerry's journey as he rises against opposition and starts afresh to become one of the greatest agents ever. He finds friendship and love with the most unlikely people and discovers that some things are more important than others. It offers a slice of life and tells a story of finding the best things even when life does not seem to go your way. Cuba Gooding Jr.'s dad was banned from the set parents.
Military genre.
Right.
I'm wondering, on behalf of all vets, including my grandfather, who was
Can be so passionate about their children, and while this may endear us to them, it sometimes leads to embarrassing moments. Someone who has a good concept of situations like this would be Cuba Gooding Jr. His father's visit to the set almost put Gooding in a serious predicament. The incident occurred when Gooding Sr., Gooding Jr.'s dad, came to visit him on set. Having heard that his son was cast in a movie with the famous Tom Cruise, Gooding Sr. was more than ecstatic to see his son on set and also meet Tom Cruise. Gooding Jr., excited to show his father around and knowing he was a big fan of Tom Cruise, decided to introduce him to Cruise. That was where things went out of hand. His dad, who apparently had no filter, was so excited to see Tom Cruise that he hugged him. Then he said, "I love you, man. Now, seriously, are you gay or not?" Not the best question to start with when you're meeting your idol for the first time, but okay. For Gooding Jr., it was a really embarrassing moment. Not many parents get to ask their favorite movie stars if they are gay. In fact, not many people think to ask their idols that question when meeting them for the first time. But for Gooding Sr., that seemed like the best question. Recalling the incident in an interview, he said that he just wanted to disappear at that moment. But Cruise laughed it off and just said no. However, to prevent something like that from ever happening again, Gooding Jr. had his father banned from the set and asked him not to come back a second time. Although it was an embarrassing moment, especially for Gooding Jr., you must admit it took a lot of courage to ask that question. And to be honest, some people were curious about it too. At least that question has been answered. Gooding Jr. had some experience as a breakdancer. One heart-stopping scene in the film takes place almost at the end of the movie. In this scene, fate finally smiles on Maguire and Tidwell during a football game between the Cardinals and the Dallas Cowboys. Tidwell catches a winning touchdown that secures the playoffs for the Cardinals. This victory may have come at a cost, as Tidwell appears seriously injured and falls unconscious on the field. After a few scary minutes, he regains consciousness and celebrates with a dance for the wildly cheering crowd. After the scare and the widely televised recovery, Maguire and Tidwell embrace in front of the media and show how their relationship has progressed from strictly business to a close personal one, which was one of the points Jerry made in his mission statement. His dancing on the pitch was smooth, and people wondered if he had any training for that scene. He did have some experience as a dancer. Before he ventured into acting, Gooding Jr. had a career as a break dancer. Because of this experience, Cuba Gooding Jr. was also the right actor to perform Rod's end zone dance, which Paula Abdul choreographed. Rod dances after he scores a touchdown. He also does a backflip and a funky dance in the end zone to celebrate his victory, exciting the fans even more. There were music cameos in the movie. It's not a complete Crow movie if there isn't a musical cameo in it, and for Jerry Maguire, the film packed a lot of music cameos. Famous stars such as Jan Wenner of the Rolling Stones, Glenn Frey of the Eagles, and Mark Wellington, a popular music director in the 90s, appeared. Crow's former boss was Jan Wenner, the founder of Rolling Stone, who played Jerry's boss at Sports Management International. The late Glenn Frey of the Eagles, who acts as the general manager of Rod's team, the Arizona Cardinals, is also featured in the movie. Music video director Mark Pellington had a cameo in the movie as the commercial director with the camel. Alice in Chains frontman Jerry Cantrell is also featured as the guy at the copy shop who helps Jerry print his notorious mission statement. The film Jerry Maguire, on its premiere, recorded a box office success.
Great, man. Hang your balls out there.
With a budget of $50 million, Jerry Maguire grossed $273.6 million. It was the 9th highest grossing film of 1996 and was nominated for 5 Oscars, including Best Picture, Best Original Screenplay, Best Actor, and Best Editing. It received nominations for 3 Golden Globes, with Cruise winning Best Actor in the Motion Picture, Musical, or Comedy category, and 3 Screen Actors Guild Awards. It won for Best Supporting Actor, with Cuba Gooding Jr. taking the award. We also saw the moment Gooding accepted his trophy by doing Rod's End Zone, which was pretty cool. Background. The movie follows the life of a 35-year-old sports agent, Jerry Maguire. Jerry is at the peak of his career and is making it big in the world of sports agents. He's content with his life and has no issues with his company's approach to getting clients. This all changes after criticism from an injured player's son leaves him disgruntled.
Yeah.
This is his 4th concussion. Shouldn't somebody get him to stop?
Hey.
His interaction with the players makes him question his career path and the choices he has made to get him to where he is. He decides it's not worth it and needs to do something about the corruption in his spirits agency. In the spirit of justice and a desperate bid to fight for what is right, he writes a mission statement about the dishonesty in the agency's business and his desire to work with fewer clients to produce a better, more caring personal relationship with them. Things don't turn out as he had hoped, though. Rather than have a change of heart and repent from their ways, the management of his agency decided that his interests no longer aligned with theirs, and it's time for him to leave. They send his protege, Bob Sugar, to fire him. This spurs both men to race to call every one of Jerry's clients to retain them. Jerry speaks to Arizona Cardinals wide receiver Rod Tidwell, one of his smallest clients, who is disgruntled with his pay. Rod tests Jerry's resolve through a long tirade on his lack of a contract extension. By the conversation's conclusion, Jerry has retained Rod but lost his other clients to Sugar. Leaving the office, Jerry loudly announces that he will start his own agency and asks if anyone will join him.
Oh, and when they call you shrimp, I'm the one who defends you.
Only 26-year-old single mother Dorothy Boyd agrees. A bit disappointed, Jerry leaves with Dorothy and tries to recruit Frank Cushman, a superstar quarterback prospect expected to be the #1 pick in the National Football League draft. Cushman initially says he will also stay with Jerry after Jerry visits the Cushman home. Frank's father insists on a handshake deal based on his word instead of a signed contract. Still, Jerry eventually realizes that Cush and his father secretly signed with Sugar the night before the National Football League draft, after seeing Jerry spend time introducing Rod to other football executives. As if that's not enough tragedy in Jerry Maguire's life, he gets into an argument with his fiancée. After the argument, Jerry breaks up with his disgruntled fiancée, Avery, claiming she was emotionally unsupportive. He then turns to Dorothy, starts getting closer to her young son, Ray, and eventually begins a romantic relationship with her. Jerry then concentrates all his efforts on Rod, his only remaining client. But pleasing Rod turns out to be a lot harder than he anticipated. Desperate and in need of funds, Jerry calls in a favor to get a contract extension from Rod's current team, the Arizona Cardinals. However, he receives a lowball offer and Rod needs a $10 million deal for his family to live on. Rod and his wife decide to pass on the offer despite Jerry's warning that if he gets injured, he will receive nothing. Meanwhile, trouble starts to brew in Maguire's new love life. Dorothy knows that Jerry cannot afford payroll without any money. She gets a job offer in San Diego and decides to move there. The job comes with health benefits, something Dorothy desperately needs for her son. Jerry, on hearing the news, becomes worried. Not wanting to lose Dorothy, Jerry proposes marriage to share health benefits, and as she is smitten, she agrees. Over the next several months, Rod and Jerry grow closer through a series of open and difficult conversations as they struggle to secure him a contract. Rod tells Jerry that he wants him to be honest, while Jerry tells Rod, "Help me help you," convincing him to stop complaining and start playing with his heart. Rod takes Jerry's advice, playing well and advancing the Cardinals. Jerry's marriage with Dorothy struggles, however, so she decides they need to separate before losing too much of their lives to each other. Then their big break finally happens as Tidwell scores a touchdown that takes his team to the playoffs. As the celebration proceeds, Maguire discovers that the only thing missing is his wife and immediately rushes home. He finds Dorothy in a meeting with her sister's divorcee support group. The group watches in awe as Jerry delivers an impassioned speech that would go down in cinematic history. Standing before Dorothy, his voice trembles with honesty and desperation as he confesses that he needs her, not just as a partner, but as the missing piece of his soul. His words drip with emotion, giving birth to some of the most unforgettable lines of the 1990s, the kind that became pop culture staples quoted for decades after. Dorothy's response is just as iconic, simple, heartfelt, and devastatingly honest, bringing the two together in a moment of pure reconciliation that tugs at every viewer's heartstrings. Meanwhile, Jerry's professional life takes a dramatic turn for the better. After all the failures, heartbreaks, and setbacks, he finally lands a massive sponsorship deal for Rod Tidwell, In one of the film's most emotional scenes, Jerry surprises Tidwell with the news during a live television interview. Overwhelmed by joy and gratitude, Tidwell bursts into tears, pouring his heart out about the people he loves, his family, and the journey that brought him there. The moment becomes the perfect emotional payoff, a celebration of friendship, love, and redemption, reminding us why Jerry Maguire remains one of the most beloved films of its era. What do you think about this story? Please share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories like this. Thanks for watching.